The 10 strangest weapons in the history of the world. The first place actually used live bats as bombs. A secret US military plan in World War II costing $2 million. Attempting to set the entire city of Tokyo on fire. Humanity's wild fantasies about weapons. Always walking the boundary between destruction and absurdity. From medieval stinking cannons trying to melt armor, to the Cold War era, the gay bomb that made soldiers vomit on the spot. Every crazy conception is an ultimate subversion of the logic of war. Number 10. Luftfaust. In the history of weapon development, at the end of World War II, Germany's Luftfaust can be called a portable air defense systems. Bold and weird pioneering attempt. This individual weapon, by the Hugo Schneider AG company, was designed specifically to counter low-altitude threats, aimed at giving infantry the ability to directly counter Allied fighters, becoming a unique mark among Nazi Germany's doomsday technology. The Luftfaust adopted a revolutionary multi-barrel handheld launcher. There were two main configurations: the basic 4-barrel Luftfauster model and the enhanced 9-barrel Luftfaust B model. Its launch tubes were about 1.5 meters long. The overall weapon system was easy for a single soldier to carry and operate, and the core lay in firing 20mm caliber small rockets, and through an innovative spin stabilization mechanism to maintain ballistic accuracy. The theoretically effective range could reach 500 meters. In terms of technical conception, the Luftfaust tried to compensate for lack of accuracy with a dense barrage. The typical 9-barrel design could fire all rockets continuously in a very short time, forming a small barrage covering low-altitude airspace, increasing the chance of hitting low-flying enemy aircraft. This saturated attack approach, in the field of individual air defense at that time, was undoubtedly an advanced experiment. However, the Luftfaust's actual combat performance failed to meet expectations. The rocket's power was limited, with insufficient damage effect on sturdy bombers. The effective range of 500 meters was too short for high-speed fighters. The launch signature was obvious, also exposing the shooter's position, coupled with the rapid end of the war. This weapon failed to enter mass production. It is believed only a small number were put into limited use in 1945, failing to turn the tide of the war. Nevertheless, the design concept of the Luftfaust for the development of later portable air defense missiles provided an important early inspiration. This unfulfilled air fist, with its unique construction and experimental nature, became in the history of weapon development an iconic grotesque chapter witnessing wartime technology in desperate straits, seeking a way out with madness and creativity. Number 9. Bob Semple Tank. This Bob Semple tank, at first glance, it looks like a steel monster from the farmland, with an unusually tall and strange figure. But don't be fooled by its appearance. It was during World War II, New Zealand's emergency creation to resist a potential Japanese invasion. Showing a make-do spirit of emergency creation. Its name came from the New Zealand project leader, Minister of Public Works, Bob Semple himself. The foundation of this mobile fortress was actually a caterpillar, the 8 agricultural tractor. This agricultural lineage gave it a clumsy body that is hard to ignore, and a strange silhouette. It was an outlier in armored design. The hull was welded from crude, corrugated steel plates pieced together. The original idea was simple: use these readily available building materials to replace expensive specialized armor. As for firepower, it relied entirely on 6 Bren light machine guns. They were scattered throughout the hull, attempting to form a firepower network that was better than nothing. However, the internal space was extremely narrow and crowded. Comfort was out of the question. Ironically, in such a cramped space, up to 8 crew members had to be squeezed in to get this steel giant barely functioning. Regrettably, the Bob Semple tank never had the chance to prove itself on a real battlefield. In the end, it never went to war. Its design was severely criticized from almost every angle. Practicality was extremely low, mobility was pathetic, and those proud corrugated steel plates, their protective effectiveness was disappointing. However, this strangely shaped tank unexpectedly became New Zealand's symbol under the threat of showing grassroots creativity and self-rescue, a unique symbol of determination, although it never smelled gunpowder. The strange figure of the Bob Semple tank now firmly occupies one of the strangest armor designs thrones in military history, reminding people of that wartime wisdom of adapting to conditions and the unique wisdom of survival in desperation. Number 8. Little David Mortar. If one were to say which weapon could be called a steel giant of World War II, then the Little David Mortar is absolutely one of the most deserving. This super heavy mortar, developed by the US military, was born at the end of the war. Its design intent was as a breakthrough weapon, specifically to destroy bunkers and highly reinforced targets like concrete fortifications. It has shocking specifications: a caliber of 914 millimeters, total weight of about 80 tons, making it one of the largest artillery systems in history. It required specialized vehicles for transport, to transport the barrel and the base respectively. Such amazing size and weight in the mission of breaking through enemy lines appeared crucial. Not only that, Little David's biggest highlight is its multifunctional origin and destructive potential. It was actually first used as an aerial bomb testing device and was later converted into a mortar. This transformation reflects the flexibility of military engineering when precise breakthrough is needed. It can fire giant shells weighing over 1.7 tons each, enough to deal a devastating blow to reinforced targets. Although the design focused on land combat, its firepower coverage could support a variety of battlefield situations, from urban warfare to field fortifications. Little David demonstrated unparalleled deterrence. Not only that, Little David's development history is also full of drama. It was equipped with an advanced firing mechanism and a stable base, ensuring that in conditions, operational efficiency could still be maintained. However, this weapon failed to enter actual combat because the war ended early. Development was successfully completed in 1945, but the project was officially terminated after the war. Today, this giant cannon, as a precious historical relic, is displayed at the Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland, allowing people to witness its siege miracle. Although it never fired a single real shell, Little David still became a symbol of the extreme development of military technology at the end of World War II. Exaggerated ambition for weapon scale. In military archives from Brazil to France, it is hailed as a masterpiece of siege fantasy, consistently demonstrating humanity's pursuit and reflection on the limits of firepower. Number 7. Curved barrel. In the field of firearms innovation, there is a strange invention hailed as the ghost of urban warfare. It is the Krumlov curved barrel. This weapon was born specifically to overcome blind spots and reduce risks. It was a companion for the STG assault rifle on narrow battlefields. This uniquely designed accessory, its core lies in enabling incredible corner shooting. It was tailor-made for urban warfare and close quarters combat. When the risk of facing the enemy directly is too high, it becomes the soldier's concealed eye and a means of surprise attack. It has versions with various bending angles, covering 30 degrees, 45, 60, and even shocking 90-degree designs. The most common Krumlov 30-degree type was mainly used in armored vehicles, becoming a key piece of equipment for close-range defense. Shooters must use a special periscope sight to accurately lock onto targets behind corners, catching the enemy off guard. Although the design concept was full of originality, the practicality of this weapon was severely limited. Its barrel, after firing only 300 rounds, would severely wear out and fail. The curved structure caused immense pressure during firing, making the bullet trajectory very prone to scattering. Shooting accuracy was thus greatly reduced. It was ultimately limited to experimental use and never widely deployed in the troops. All in all, the Krumlov curved barrel, as a ghostly invention of urban warfare, it showed at the end of World War II the German army's desperate search in technology and bold attempts. Even today, it is still regarded as one of the most original, yet immature military innovations of World War II. It is an amazing yet regrettable unique chapter in the history of firearms development. Number 6. As mine, on the stage of the battlefield, there is such a silent dancer. It not only lurks under surface camouflage, but can also leap into the air the moment it is triggered. It is the S-mine used by the German army in World War II. The design of this anti-personnel mine began in the 1930s, aimed at blocking enemy infantry offensives with extreme deterrence. Its operating principle is unique. When a soldier accidentally touches the pressure plate or trip, the mine body first ejects about 1 meter into the air. Then it detonates in mid-air. The S-mine's killing mechanism is terrifying. The mine body, containing about 360 steel balls or metal fragments, forms a deadly rain of fragments after exploding in mid-air, with an effective killing radius of several meters. The airburst design allows fragments to pour down from above, greatly increasing penetration and coverage. Its terrifying triggering method and destructive effect made the Allied soldiers on the battlefield tremble, giving it the nickname Bouncing Betty. As a powerful anti-personnel weapon, the S-mine played a key role in both position defense and guerrilla obstruction. In defensive tactics, it could be deployed at trench fronts or attack routes. If just a single soldier missteps, the 360 steel balls bursting instantly can paralyze the entire squad's offensive rhythm. Additionally, its sophisticated metal structure and low profile made it difficult for traditional mine detectors to detect, invisibly intensifying the fear of death while marching. On the level of tactical deterrence, due to its unique leaping, airburst design and psychological pressure, Bouncing Betty became the deepest nightmare for infantry charges. Soldiers knew well that one wrong step could trigger a storm of steel balls overhead. Although after the end of World War II, production of the S-mine stopped, its terrifying reputation established on the battlefield continued to influence subsequent mine designs, becoming a classic blueprint for jumping mines in many countries. It is precisely because of cold and efficient battlefield creations like the S-mine that the shadow of war is so deeply engraved in humanity's collective memory. Number 5. Sticky bomb. The history of the sticky bomb began during the crisis when the flames of World War II first ignited. This crude weapon, urgently developed by Britain, was aimed at countering the steel giants roaming the battlefield. It consisted of a glass or metal sphere filled with explosives and covered in strong adhesive. The outer layer was wrapped in a removable metal sheath, waiting for the moment a soldier tears off the protection for a desperate gamble. During operation, soldiers must rush toward the target within an extremely dangerous quickly tearing off the metal sheath, firmly sticking the bomb onto the cold armor, then turning around and running for their lives. The bomb's built-in delay fuse provided only a precious 5 seconds of escape time. Every second was a gamble of life and death. Though its sticky surface had amazing adhesion, it often failed due to mud, moisture, or dust on enemy vehicles, making the mission itself a high-risk gamble with death. Despite fatal flaws, the No. 74 grenade was still deployed in the brutal North African desert and the European theater. In the Battle of El Alamein in 1942, desperate infantry once used it to paralyze German armored squadrons in the hedgerows after the Normandy landings. Guerrilla squads also relied on it in close quarters to destroy isolated armored vehicles. It became one of the most helpless, yet indispensable anti-tank methods in the hands of British soldiers during that extreme scarcity and threat of invasion. With an average cost of only about $1 each, it carried the faint hope of turning the tide of war. The design of the sticky bomb reflected the crude wisdom of wartime expedients. Its use was even filled with suffocating courage and sacrifice. With the mass equipment of Allied tank and guns, more reliable infantry, anti-tank weapons, this extremely dangerous emergency weapon gradually withdrew from the front line. Today, the sticky bomb has become a museum exhibit. But as a symbol of the British make-do of resisting the enemy during the hardest times of World War II, its unique and tragic story still leaves a deep mark on military history, reminding people of the cruelty of war and the extraordinary courage sparked in desperation. Number 4. M388 Davy Crockett Nuclear Bomb. The M388 Davy Crockett is a tactical nuclear weapon system developed by the US, using a portable launcher. Equipped with a yield of only 10 to 20 tons of TNT from the W-50 for miniature, the system was divided into two versions, the M29 type mounted on jeeps, and the shorter-range M28 light infantry model, showing the streamlining and innovation of nuclear technology. During the Cold War, the first deployment plan for this nuclear bomb focused on the European theater. At that time, its core mission was to block the rapid advance of Warsaw Pact forces as a key weapon for frontline defense. As the smallest nuclear weapon in US military history, its effective range was only 1.24 kilometers. This narrow range could even endanger the operator's own safety. The radiation and shockwave of the nuclear explosion after could affect the users. This design feature, in actual combat scenario, earned it the controversial nickname of suicide weapon. The nickname highlighted its high-risk nature. Besides the European defense plan, the controversy of the M388 lay in its inherent flaws. Its aiming mechanism was extremely difficult and accuracy was low, leading to a persistently high risk of friendly fire. About 2,000 units produced were never used in combat. Becoming a symbol of armchair strategy, this weapon was originally given high hopes, but was heavily criticized due to safety concerns. In simulation tests, operators often faced unpredictable consequences. This stood in stark contrast to the stability of other nuclear systems. Like other Cold War weapons, the M388 was not only eye-catching in its military conception, but also played a cautionary role in the historical context. With the termination of the project in the 1960s, this nuclear bomb, unbaptized by war, transformed into a vehicle for humanitarian reflection. For example, its failure cases in simulated exercises were cited in nuclear control treaty negotiations, emphasizing the danger of blind expansion. Overall, the unique design of the M388 Davy Crockett and its controversial history made it an iconic symbol of the Cold War's nuclear madness. In the future, it will continue to be displayed in military museums and in historical textbooks, reminding the world of the madness and lessons on the nuclear brink. Number 3. Sturmpistol. In the introduction of infantry weapons, there is a piece of emergency modified equipment given the title of Sturmpistol. For its explosive power and battlefield creativity, it is the German Sturmpistol. This weapon, modified from a flare gun, is a witness to the German army's survival in adversity and during World War II of individual firepower enhancement. From its multi-ammo adaptability to its low-cost modification characteristics, this weapon was never an ordinary standard firearm. To improve urban warfare efficiency, the total length of the weapon was extended to 76 centimeters and equipped with adjustable metal sights to enhance accuracy. Its maximum range reached 150 meters. Combined with a special ammunition system, it was compatible with 3 types of specialized ammunition. The original flare gun could only fire illumination flares. Firepower coverage was increased by more than 3 times. In terms of damage performance, the version equipped with anti-tank rounds could penetrate 50 millimeters of homogeneous armor within 90 meters, equivalent to the side protection of the M3 Stuart light tank at that time. Its tactical positioning accurately targeted urban combat needs. The modification cost per launcher was only $10, but could give an infantry squad 60% of the firepower density of a mortar squad instantly. To enhance battlefield survivability, the design team even developed a separate loading system and a refilled inner tube kit. This modular modification not only maintained a total body weight of only 2.4 kilograms, but also achieved an ammunition switching speed 3.7 seconds faster than traditional grenade launchers, allowing soldiers to quickly switch between attack and defense among rubble piles and building gaps. As a classic representative of World War II emergency weapons, the Sturmpistol is still sought by weapons collectors today. At high prices of up to $3,000, the battlefield wisdom bursting from its simple steel tube continues to shine in the history of small arms with the edge of innovation in adversity. Number 2. Fuko Balloon Bombs 1944. The Japanese military planned an unprecedented long-range strike scheme to develop a secret weapon capable of crossing the vast Pacific US mainland. Under harsh wartime conditions, Japanese engineers created the Fugo balloon bombs, a giant balloon relying on hydrogen to rise, carrying bombs. This silent aggressor reflected amazing range potential. Within just a few months after the operation started, about 9,000 Fugo balloon bombs rose into the air from the Japanese mainland. They skillfully used high-altitude jet streams to embark on a 9,000-kilometer transoceanic journey. Despite the extreme difficulty of crossing, it is estimated that 300 to 400 bombs successfully reached the North American continent, spanning across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It can be called a shocking early example of intercontinental projection weapons. Its core tactical goal was to trigger large-scale forest fires, creating chaos and psychological panic. However, The generally humid winter climate on the North American West Coast greatly weakened the arson effect of the incendiary bombs they carried. The most heartbreaking moment in this silent offensive occurred in Oregon in 1945. A Fugo balloon bomb, unfortunately, caused the deaths of 6 civilians. This was also the only confirmed war-related civilian death event to occur on the US mainland during World War II. To avoid public panic and to prevent the Japanese army from adjusting their tactics, the US government decisively implemented a strict news blackout. Even today, Fugo balloon bombs are not only seen as unique long-range weapons in war history, their characteristic of being and relying on natural forces for intercontinental strikes is also widely recognized as an early prototype of modern unmanned long-range and deadly balloon offensive. In the grand narrative of World War II, carved a unique mark filled with technological fantasy and the cruelty of war. Number 1. Yokosuka MXY-7 Oka. The Yokosuka MXY-7 Oka was developed by Japan at the end of the Pacific War, specifically for kamikaze designed single-use aircraft. Its name literally means wind of the cherry blossoms, alluding to the heroic sacrifice in Japanese Bushido spirit. This aircraft, propelled by a rocket engine, entered combat in 1944, marking an extreme turning point in aviation tactics. The Japanese military at the time desperately needed a lethal weapon to counter the US fleet. So, under the direction of the Yokosuka Naval Arsenal, the Oka was born, becoming a symbol of war fanaticism. This special attack aircraft possessed a series of intimidating technical features. First, with a top speed of up to 1,000 kilometers per hour, it became the world's fastest manned attack aircraft at the time. Its simple and compact design weighed only about 2 tons, favoring rapid mass production, capable of completing hundreds within weeks. However, the most striking feature was its 1-ton high-explosive warhead. This allowed it, upon a diving impact, to cause devastating damage to US naval vessels. The Oka had to be carried by a G-4 bomber, released after being carried to an appropriate altitude, demonstrating Japan's innovative thinking in desperate times. The Oka could not only lock onto enemy ships for suicide attacks, but also be rapidly deployed in naval battles, posing a substantial threat. During its brief service career, the Oka participated in several key missions. During the Battle of Okinawa in 1945, it launched multiple raids against the US fleet, though most were intercepted by fighters and missed. A single successful impact could paralyze the deck of a destroyer. Furthermore, the Oka also, during combat in Philippine waters, demonstrated its destructive potential when diving, forcing the US to strengthen air defense deployments. However, there were fatal flaws in practical use. The range was only about 36 kilometers, insufficient maneuverability, and once intercepted by US F-6F Hellcat fighters, resulted in limited battle results. The Oka's versatility and extreme tactics made it a concrete manifestation of the Japanese 100 million shattered jewels determination, whether symbolizing the fanaticism of militarism, the heroism of executing suicide missions, or in the process of rebuilding morale late in the war. This aerial blade represented the despair and extremes of the late Pacific War. Despite not achieving significant results, the Oka has become a warning sign in history, reflecting the radical innovation of the Japanese military under resource scarcity. That's all for the content of this video. I wonder which of the 10 most strange weapons introduced today impressed you the most. Welcome to leave a comment for discussion. Thank you for watching. The next episode will also bring you more exciting content.